I have visited Warsaw many years, and whenever I'm here, there is more improvement. It becomes more and more attractive, so really enjoy Warsaw. Because such kind of event should also give you the opportunity to create networks, to create friendships, which you can use and enjoy for the rest of your life. And I know many people having had these experiences, they still rely on this kind of relationship, friendship across borders, across the continent, and maybe even beyond the continent. So in that respect, I'm really delighted to be here today with you and to have the opportunity to address you directly. You, and I'm talking here to the young generation of Europe, are a key focus of our work, and it's about you, the young generation. I think when I'm discussing reforms together with my colleagues, with my services, it's about developing opportunities and challenges of your countries. Be it in member states, be it in the neighborhood. That's why I have been invited, because I'm the commissioner for the neighborhood and for enlargement negotiations. But today I'm more addressing you from the perspective of a neighborhood commissioner, but maybe one of my successors might be using another hat to talk to you. And let's see how things evolve in the future. But what is important, it's up to you to shape the future, the future of your country, of your society, but also the future of our partnership, of our continent. And let's say this is not so to say overdoing it, the future of our planet, because we are all in the same boat, and therefore we have to take care how our future looks like, and in particular you have to take care about it, because you have a little bit more years to live on this planet than I have. But I'm very interested that you do a lot, because I just became grandfather, so I have a very strong interest that everything goes well in the next couple of years in the own interest of next generations. But when we look at our cooperation in the area of youth, we approach it the same way within the Eastern partners as we do it within the EU member states. We don't differentiate on this. And in this respect, you, the young generation, can already fully profit from our numerous successful support programs such as Erasmus+. Let me say a few words now about today's meeting. It's an excellent opportunity for us to prepare together with you the next Eastern Partnership Summit, and your commitment and engagement is crucial for the successful implementation of our partnership. I would also like to share our vision for the Eastern Partnership Summit with you. Earlier this week, we had a very fruitful meeting in Luxembourg with my colleagues, the foreign ministers from the European Union, but also from the Eastern Partnership countries. We agreed that the summit should send a message of unity. We face common challenges on our continent, and we can only succeed if we are united in facing them. Together we are stronger. And by the way, it's for the first time that this summit will take place in Brussels. It will not take place also Estonia. Also it's during the presidency of Estonia, one could expect that the event takes place in Tallinn. But I think it was a very wise decision by Estonia to push to have this event in Brussels. Why? Because it demonstrates, it proves that all the European member states are very much interested in what is going on in the East. So all the 28 are committed. And this is, so to say, demonstrated by the fact that we have this event, this summit in Brussels, and not in a capital which is close to the East, in order to avoid the impression only the Eastern European countries are interested in what's going on in the Eastern neighborhood. No, it's the whole Europe which is interested to know and to see and to contribute to the further development in our Eastern neighborhood. And that's why I think, and thank you once again to Estonia for this very wise and far-looking decision to move, so to say, the venue to Brussels. It's not something which serves us in terms we are not forced to travel, but it should also once again demonstrate the strong commitment by all the 28 member states. And I wanted to stress this also to you, to understand a little bit what are behind some decisions. And this was a very, very political decision to have this event in Brussels. But talking about commitments, I think it's equally important to focus on tangible results. Results for you, for our citizens, both in the European Union, but of course in our partner countries. And let me mention in this context a very recent landmark achievement which benefits the daily lives of citizens and young people in particular. I'm talking about visa liberalization for Ukraine and Georgia following that for Moldova. Why it is so important in particular for you? Because I was looking at the list of exemptions who already could travel to Europe without visa. A very long list, but young people haven't been included. And now you are, so to say, at least those from the 3 countries able to travel to Europe without any restrictions. And we have started negotiations also with the other countries. Some are more advanced, others maybe at a very early stage. But the final goal is indeed to have visa liberalization everywhere, because it's so symbolic for, so to say, reconnect us and having strong ties and having no borders also in terms of administrative borders, because to apply for a visa is an administrative border. And therefore it's also of a very strong symbolic character if we abandon this kind of limitation. And therefore visa liberalization has a very emotional, very symbolic element, and I hope we can continue on this, because it makes the world smaller, but in a positive way, as we are better connected to each other, and in particular, you should utilize these possibilities. I'm saying this at the beginning of the summer, of, so to say, the holidays, and I hope more of you can use this opportunity which is now possible. But this visa liberalization is only one example of the successful implementation of our association agreements which we have with Ukraine, with Georgia and Moldova, and for these to deliver further results for citizens, the implementation of reforms is key. Turning to our Eastern partners, I am pleased to inform you that we have finalized negotiations on an ambitious new agreement with Armenia, and we have just launched negotiations for a new agreement with Azerbaijan, and we have also taken first steps to develop our, let's say, critical engagement with Belarus. These achievements were duly recognized by all partners during our Luxembourg meeting at the beginning of the week, but we are all keen to move ahead with the development of Eastern neighborhood. We have therefore identified a list of 20 very, very concrete deliverables for 2020 that focus on 4 broad priority areas. First, it's about the economic development and the market opportunities. Second, it's about strengthening institutions and good governance. Third, it's about connectivity, energy efficiency, environment. And finally, but not least, it's about mobility and people-to-people contacts. At the time of the summit, we will focus on the key actions which show solid benefits and create stronger links between us in areas such as, probably very much important for you, broadband internet connections, as well as progress towards reduced roaming tariffs, energy efficiency, and inter-regional trade. It's also in this context that I see a key role for the European Union support for youth. We all benefit from more exchanges and stronger links between our future generation. It's an investment of us towards the future of our continent, let's put it that way. Education, adequate job opportunities and social conditions, in particular for the youth, are key for the stability of our societies. Your leadership and commitment will make a big difference, driving reforms and modernization and acting as a rich source of creativity. You are open to innovation, you are more flexible, and you have a stronger stake in the future of your society than previous generations. And really, I urge you to be critical, to be provocative, to push us, to force us to think about certain things. Nothing is casting in iron, but it's primarily your task to push us in your own interest. Because sometimes there might be a kind of fatigue, and the elder generation is used to know everything and to believe situation is how it is because there are very well-known reasons. But we always need a kick, a push in order to change things. Yeah? We all have to keep a certain, so to say, I say always, share of naivety. Without naivety, you can never change anything. Because if you know already why things are not possible to be changed, then you will never be able to change things. So you need, all of us, a certain kind or share of naivety in order to push things forward and to use maybe a situation when there opens a door through which you can go and change things. And in that respect, we need your, so to say, positive, if you like, provocation and pushes in order to use these opportunities if they pop up. So what is important is also that you use your skills, competencies and ideas in order to further develop your economies. At the same time, I'm also aware of many challenges that today's youth is facing. Let me mention the very high youth employment in some countries and here specifically in rural areas. This is not only linked to limited employment opportunities, but also the lack of active labor market policies and challenges related to access to education and finally to the quality of education. Often young people don't have the means to be positive proxies of change because they cannot access the right opportunities for personal, educational and professional development or participation in political and civic lives. And this is why the EU offers its support. It's, let's say, a financial, but also a moral support in that respect. So what does the EU offer to the youth? First, for nearly 30 years, we just celebrated this year, the European Union has funded the Erasmus program, which has allowed over 3 million European students to spend part of their studies at another higher education institution or with an organization in Europe. And I can tell you, in the current Commission, there is the first generation of Erasmus alumni being commissioners. We have 3 commissioners being former Erasmus scholarship students, Mrs. Mogherini, the High Representative, Mr. Kaitanen, former Finnish Prime Minister, and Carlos Moedas, our Commissioner for Research. All of them are in their early 40s, and I think also this is a good signal. The Erasmus generation has arrived at the decision-maker level, and this should also motivate and stimulate you. So I expect some of you to be future commissioners, and in other top functions at the European level, this is possible. This is something we expect from you. Erasmus Plus has also brought fantastic opportunities to all, to the students, to the staff, trainees, teachers, volunteers, and more. And it's not just about Europe or Europeans either. With Erasmus Plus, people from all over the world can access studies in the European Union to broaden their horizon. For the Eastern Partnership region, in the last 3 years, over 100 million euro of EU support have allowed for 7,500 mobility programs and around 50 capacity building projects for higher education institutes to take place. This will only increase in the coming years. With this in mind, I very much look forward to meeting Erasmus Plus alumni later on today, as well as the winners of the EU Neighborhood East Youth Essay Contest, EU Around You. We have also invested further in mobility and exchanges between young people from the EU member states and the Eastern partner countries. It's in fields related to culture and the media, through the Creative Europe program and research and innovation, through Horizon 2020 and Marie Sklodowska-Curie programs. Let me also highlight the EU's strong support for education across the Eastern Partnership. In recent years, we have supported vocational education and training through targeted programs in Georgia, Moldova, Armenia, Azerbaijan, and Belarus. In Belarus, for example, the EU is offering unique opportunities to professionals, allowing them to share experiences with European partners through a mobility scheme for targeted people-to-people context. As we like for everything abbreviations, it's called MOST Belarus. Over 1,500 young Belarusians take part in training, education, and professional exchanges in the sectors of culture, education and youth, science and technology. Additionally, across the region, over 40,000 young people and youth workers benefit from non-formal learning opportunities to enhance their skills, competencies, and active participation in society through, among others, the European Voluntary Service. In this respect, last year we announced a call for civil society fellowships for young leaders from the EU and Eastern Partnership region to take up opportunities for learning and exchange beyond their own country borders. In that respect, we have over 60 fellowships granted this year. Moving forward with our support to youth, we will focus in particular on education, increasing employment opportunities and entrepreneurship skills, as well as maximizing opportunities for young people to participate in political, social, and economic life. So let me give you a few examples. First, starting with the very young. By the end of this year, over 500 schools in the Eastern Partnership will be connected via the eTwinning Plus program, which is a platform for school teachers across the region to communicate, collaborate, develop projects, share, and in short, feel and be part of the most exciting online learning community. Secondly, next year, we expect to open the first European school in Georgia, granting scholarship to the best students, not only in Georgia, but also in the region. Last but not least, starting this year, the new EU for Youth initiative will make 20 million euro available to promote the active participation of young people in society and their employability. The initiative will focus on developing those skills that can support them in becoming leaders and entrepreneurs. In addition, EU for Youth will provide another 8 million euro of grants to support young people to participate in political, societal, and economic life. All of these actions are part of our youth package. Its achievements to date and objectives for 2020 will be key for the discussion at the Eastern Partnership Summit. Youth generation is, again, the driving force behind some of the most inspiring development projects. You are and you will be the generation of change makers, and I hope also of policy shapers already today. In a global policy, you are the leaders of the future, those with new and fresh ideas and hopefully great energy. We, the policy makers of today and political leaders in your countries, have responsibility to provide you with opportunities and prospects. You have a right to demand reforms, make proposals from your governments, but also from us. That's why we are here together, and later on I hope I will receive a long list of proposals, ideas, demands, suggestions, however you call it. It's about a better future, but for this we need your participatory and active presence. Many challenges remain ahead of us, of you. Some are immense, but so you should be our common motivation to overcome them. On our side, we stand ready to make sure that you have every opportunity to channel all your energy into helping your communities and be positive agents of change. And finally, it's my very private, my personal Ceterum Censeo, by the way, a European heritage, Ceterum Censeo. Use your right to participate in democratic organized elections. Why I'm saying this? If I'm looking into the turnout rate of elections around Europe, it's sometimes very low, sometimes declining. And in particular, if I look at the share of young people participating in elections, it's rather low. And if you look, for instance, and analyze the referendum in United Kingdom concerning the Brexit, unfortunately, I have to say, the young generation didn't participate. The young generation participated only half compared to the, let's say, elders category of voters. And finally, this was decisive, because if you again analyze the voting behavior of the young generation in the United Kingdom, more than 2/3 of them were in favor to stay, because it was about, and it's about their future. But the elder generation, those who have even experienced a situation when UK was not member of the European Union, and UK joined the European Union in 1973, if I'm right in mind, they have opted to leave. But there, to be very brutal, life expectation is very short. But the decision has been made by them, and they were, so to say, decisive. My message is simply a simple one. Every vote counts in democracy, and you should understand it's also your individual vote which counts. Rely on the quality of your vote. Participate, engage you. The minimum in democracy is to participate in elections. A little bit more is to be active. You are, otherwise you wouldn't be here, apparently part of the active, dynamic part of society. But please pass all these messages to your colleagues that they should use their opportunities in a free world to participate in election, to raise your voice and to vote. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your very important messages, and we will go back later to workshops and work with bigger motivation on the policy recommendations. And we have one more speaker for the opening session. So while we are changing slides and installing the presentation, can you remind me who is in charge of the presidency now? Which country? Malta, yes, exactly. And the next one is Estonia. So I'm very happy to invite Mr. Liepāja, the Deputy Secretary General for Youth and Foreign Relations, Ministry of Education and Research of Estonia.
Thank you. Thank you, Commissioner Hahn, for a very inspiring speech. You made my life a bit easier because the political message was so clear that definitely I will not repeat that. What about the presidency? The presidency is sometimes people in every country which is taking over the presidency, EU presidency, people are starting to talk, what about what will the country get out of that, or the citizens of this country? Let's say in case of Estonia, about Estonia. So the answer is that the country who will be the president of EU Council will not fulfill its own goals, but the presidency will have to represent the common opinion of the member states and to be a neutral president in that sense that I cannot go to the Commission and say that, half of the member states are on this opinion, but Estonia as the presidency will say that we will go other way because this is our goal for the presidency. This will never work. The Estonian delegation is also at the table together with the other member states, but the Estonian delegation will be more or less quiet, making not so serious interventions, and the presidency will work for forming a common opinion of the member states and representing then the member states in discussions with the European Parliament and European Commission. So because of that, you see that although the Estonian presidency will start in a few days, and the priorities in the field of youth, they are not the Estonian priorities, they are EU priorities in the field of youth during the Estonian presidency. And what I have to say is that in reality our presidency already has started because of the change of government in Malta, which is still officially holding the presidency. Estonian ministers already were chairing the councils, at least 3 of them last week, because there were on these days there were no ministers for Malta, so it already has started. And personally, I was chairing last week the high-level group on education, which is the first presidency, unofficial presidency event, because every next presidency will organize few weeks before the official start their own meeting, where all the member states will be represented, and then talking about the priorities for the next half year. Now we can go on. What are the priorities in the field of youth? Certainly, the discussions of the next EU youth strategy for the post-2018 period, they have started, and we would like to take the debates further, because this is a crucial document for all of you and for Commission, for European Parliament, for the member states. How we will go on together. We aim to focus on involvement of young people into the next EU strategy in the frame of the 6th cycle of the structured dialogue. The structured dialogue means that it is the dialogue between politicians and the youth. So the politicians, as Commissioner said, also need pressure from young people, and of course sometimes the debates can be quite hot, but finally this is the future of you, of your generation. Well, this is what I mentioned, discussion, dialogue between young people and policymakers. And what about the Eastern Partnership? Eastern Partnership countries will be invited, your representatives will be invited to the European Youth Conference, which will take place in Tallinn in October. So when the time comes closer, you will receive, respective ministries and youth organizations will receive invitations. The other important subject is smart youth work. As one of the horizontal priorities for Estonia and EU, of course, also is to use more digital technology and also to offer more e-services. So the smart youth work is one example of them. In Estonia, there is a national strategy of strategy of smart youth work. And we hope that we can also offer our experience and, of course, peer learning activities from countries between countries, different countries, member states, so that the smart youth work will be developed further. If somebody asks, what is smart youth work? So the very simple answer is that we all know that maybe in some cases too many young people are living in the virtual world and do not participate actively in the life of the society. So how to find them, how to attract them, to bring them back more to real life from the virtual life. It's not an easy task, but as these young people are very well informed and they are using in everyday life the digital technology, so there will be new digital means to use the same technology to bring them out from the digital work back to the real world. So it's a great challenge, but we hope we will, in the common discussions, we will find some good ideas. So with the concept of smart youth work, on the European level, we are heading for drawing up Council conclusions on smart youth work. The next matter, youth volunteering. Youth volunteering is definitely one of the cornerstones of the European youth field. I am sure many of you have been involved in the European Voluntary Service, so it is transnational already today. It will be even more transnational in the next coming period. European Voluntary Service and development of it is related also to the European Commission proposal from May this year on regulation of the European Solidarity Corps. This Solidarity Corps is aimed to enhance the engagement of young people and organizations in solidarity activities as a means to contribute to strengthening cohesion and solidarity in Europe. This is a very, very high legislative initiative with political priority, and it will be discussed in the Youth Ministers' Council and, of course, in the working groups meetings. The next meeting will be in 2 weeks, about at the beginning of July. A few words about the Estonian presidency, key events in youth field. Voluntary Service Future Search Conference will be in July, beginning of July in Tallinn. Commissioner Hahn mentioned about participation in elections. So Vote at 16 International Conference will be on the 13th of October in Tallinn. And for Estonia, this issue is very, very important and also very interesting, because for the first time in Estonia this year in municipal elections, 16 years old can vote. And the elections will take place few days after the conference. I think it was the 15th or 16th of October. It's normally Sunday, so you can check in the calendar. So some people after the conference definitely will stay there and see what will be the turnout of this age group. As Commissioner mentioned, sometimes young people are not very active with that, but really every vote counts. And it's a very, very good opportunity for young people to really influence strongly the local political leaders, municipal councils, to think about young people, provide them more opportunities to work together with them, and this leads definitely to the better future of young people and, of course, also the youth field. I already mentioned the EU Youth Conference in October. There you will have also the Eastern Partnership countries, and the International Conference on Community Guarantee in November. If we go on with working groups and meetings, so most of them are for EU member states, but just, of course, there is nothing in secret, so you are welcome to have this information. So the kickoff event for the Youth Working Party delegates will be on the 6th of July in Brussels, and this is the also after that, the discussions about the European Solidarity Corps will start really, really active, and also very many meetings on that issue. Directors General on youth will meet in Tallinn in October. National Youth Work Week, and as I mentioned already, smart youth work is the issue in November, and informal breakfast of young people and youth ministers in Brussels in November. This is also the place where the European Youth Forum is presented. Just a few dates about Eastern Partnership events during the Estonian presidency. They are not only youth events about which I already talked, but what is happening in the Eastern Partnership meetings in Tallinn. So you can see that ministerial meetings on justice and home affairs, the Eastern Partnership Summit in Brussels, what Commissioner already mentioned, and side events, Civil Society Forum, Business Forum in Tallinn, and a media conference in Kiev. So I think I will not speak anymore. I hope you have received this presentation. If not, then you will have it, and you can always ask questions if you have the interest. From me, from my colleagues in the Youth Working Party, directors for youth everywhere. And for the conference, I wish you very, very hard work, but only with hard work we can have really good results. And remember always that this is the future for you. Thank you. And the presidency logo, and this is the presidency tie, so just no, I will have to take the plane. No, half an hour.
Half an hour, okay. So if you have some questions, because we are short of time, so we cannot forward questions in the plenary, Mr. Lepaio, he will stay half an hour more here, so please feel free to approach him and ask more questions, okay? So as you see, there are lots of innovative approaches, and we can really do many things out of the box. So we hope that with this new knowledge, inspiration, we will go back and really produce very good content-wise proposals and policy recommendations. Yes? We will ask you to help us a bit, because there is one workshop that is going to work here. And for that, we all need to stand up and move out as soon as possible so that they're, yes, from here, from this side, so that they're able to start. Okay? Thanks a lot, and see you at lunchtime. After lunch, we're back here at 2:30 for the open space for networking and project ideas development.